Welcome back to Black Swan Outdoors, and welcome to the homestead. This video is going to be on clothing options for emergency response kits. This video is part of a series of emergency response kits. Oftentimes you see on YouTube when people are talking about responding to emergencies, whether it be bug out bags or militia type 3%er go bags, or what do they call it, Minuteman kits, things like that. People spend very little time talking about clothing and more time talking about weapons. And clothing is your primary weapon against the elements and being out of doors. And I think it just underscores for a lot of people how inexperienced they are with being in the out of doors when you don't spend a lot of time talking about clothing and clothing options. So for those of you who want to take a deep dive into clothing, layering, and thermodynamics, we have a two-part series on YouTube here, one on 3-season and one on your 4th season or your winter gear clothing for the out of doors. And everything you can take in that video, you can apply it to. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into the theory of clothing and layering, other than to say that for an emergency, there might be some specific things that you want to look for in your clothing options as you're kind of putting together your kit. So my kit is divided into 3-season and 4-season use. So we're going to talk first, as I pack my bag, the 4th season or the winter clothing that I have ready to go. This is stuff that might not sit in this bag all year round if I needed more room, for example. Second, what I want to say about this is I don't just have this gear set aside waiting for an emergency. This is stuff that I'm actually going to wear either throughout the year here and there, or it's going to be stuff that I've set aside specifically for hunting. And so one of the reasons why I have this rubberized duffel bag is to minimize scent. And so certainly that's going to be helpful. The other reason why I like the rubberized duffel for this is that I can take my all of my clothing and I can actually throw it on top of my roof rack and strap this down on my roof rack with no problem, and have all of my kind of clothing options on here. And last, the only thing I'll say about the duffel bag is that the duffel bag is plenty large for more clothing, more layers as needed, or more gear as needed. So I want to leave room in there for that reason. Okay, so without too much further ado, we'll just go through the stuff that I've packed. So for cold weather, I have a pair of mittens, and these have leather palms on them, and they're very thick, very nice and warm. So they're great additions for cold weather. And then I have my cold weather hunting cap, which is just a rabbit skin hat here, or rabbit fur cap. And then with that, I've got long underwear, and this is expedition weight long underwear, tops and bottoms, a zip net. So it can act as maybe an extra pair of fleece pants to sleep in, or it can act as kind of in my layering choices. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I have a pair of expedition weight socks that I'm going to have there. And then lastly would be a thick fleece jacket. And this is going to be something that I'm only really going to wear in the winter, or occasionally maybe late fall, spring. But most of that stuff isn't necessary all year round. So it's going to be in this stuff sack separate. All right. Next up is going to be my boots. And these are going to sit just in the bag here. And again, these are good hunting boots, backpacking boots. They're Gore-Tex lined. They're going to work well in winter. They work well all year round for pretty much every time or everything. All right, then next is my base layers. So the base layer, I have what I'm opted for is, and pretty much everything else through this list is going to be military surplus clothing. It's done very strategic for a very specific purpose. So first off, surplus clothing is dirt cheap. Um, I can get, uh, let's see, I've spent maybe less than $100 on all of the clothing going forward here. So um, I spent $2 on long underwear tops and bottoms a piece. I think, or I'm sorry, they were $4 a piece, so that's $8. $3 for a pair of fleece gloves. Um, 20 bucks for a jacket or blouse. $2 for a t-shirt. 20 bucks for a pair of pants. I'm not sure how much the hat was. Maybe 10 bucks or something. I think these are proper. A few bucks for the watch cap. And then a balaclava, which is not military spec. Not much at all. And then I think less than 20 bucks for a pair of mechanics multicam gloves. So really, I'm not trying to spend a lot of money here on clothing. So I like that from a that perspective. It's all camouflage color, which is again intentional because I want to use this for hunting as well. So it's rugged. It's well made. It's made specifically for a disaster. War is essentially a disaster. So the way that in which the clothing is designed is to be rugged. You have the flaps that go over your pockets to help keep debris from coming in. The textiles are designed to be not to melt onto your skin, for example, and around heat. So very well thought out. So you might as well take advantage of surplus gear when you're looking at your emergency equipment. So to go through the list here, and then the other thing I have in here is a pack cover. So my backpack is in the service pack video, if you notice, is gray. If I wanted to kind of make it a little more subdued, I can just get a pack. I have this pack cover, also surplus gear that goes right on it. So that's going to go in the bottom of my pack. The next thing that I'm going to have then is a jacket or blouse. I don't wear this very often, other than when I'm bow hunting, pretty much. So that's going to go on. That's going to go on down below. And then I'm going to have my base layer, which is basically the two long underwear, top and bottom, a t-shirt, as well as a pair of gloves and a watch cap or black stocking cap. Throw on a rigger's belt, the balaclava, and then I have a sun hat or boonie hat, a ball cap, depending on if I want a rigid bill or not. Pair of merino wool socks, and I always take these socks and stick them in my boots, so they're already ready to go. Put my pants on top. So I always have my hats and pants on top because those are going to be the two things I'm going to pouch. Not much. It's not a very expensive one. Probably something I'll probably eventually upgrade in the future. And then basically that gets all put in here and ready to go. Now, when I'm ready to want to go hunting, or if I need to respond to any kind of emergency, I have a full change of clothes, and I don't have to worry about changing my clothes before I leave.